everybody. Oh. Let's eat. Salad in the car. Let's see if I don't make a mess of this. I gotta pour the dressing now. Balsamic. I asked them to dice up the chicken, and they did, but I would have liked it diced up a lot more. I usually cut it up pretty small. Kind of hard to do in the car without a table and a good sharp knife. Put this salad dressing somewhere in case it leaks. All right. Good evening, good evening.
Countries are gathering in Cape Town, South Africa for the beginning of Africa Oil Week with the aim of managing the
flyway, and there was a lot of earthly teachers, but also tremendous energy and love and lots of
gotta get me a TV. I got a TV. I got a tray for the car, but I can't find it for the steering wheel. I still gotta cut this up. I'm not thinking at all. Not thinking at all. Not thinking at all. Impossible to do it without a really sharp knife. And I don't have one up front here. Wait. I gotta keep a real fork and sharp knife up in the car here. Used to always have one available. It's impossible to do in a foam container on your leg.
Overflowing with the love of that divine source of creation of all that is. And in that realm, I was told I'd be taught many things, but that I'd be going back. And I had cycled through several times, because that going back, what would happen is in that core realm.
Just notice there's no strawberries.
Which was so much a
There's oranges, but no strawberries today.
But also you could see how it all begun to parcelate and differentiate into this universe of ours, including all the various souls involved in this beautiful dance of discovery, of growth that we're all going through in this evolution of consciousness. But in that cycling through, I was told that I was not there to stay, and so then I would tumble back down to that earthworm eye view, which was the very primitive course realm where my journey began. And that's where I realized towards the very end of this journey that I could no longer get into that core realm, but I also witnessed the incredible love in the form of all these beings around me, arcing off into the distance. Many with heads bowed and holding candles, and there was this murmuring energy coming from them.
Hmm. Oh, somebody got that order. No deliveries tonight so far. I'm just not in the mood. Not in the mood. Hmm. 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 Let's see if we can find something to listen to.
That's a real pickle. She gingerly reaches into the brine, selects her pickle, steps up to the line. Oh, I'm sorry. You're about this size. Smells like pickles? Smells like pickles. And I won the sword by playing pickle toss. Thanks, Danny. I played pickle toss and I won. What'd you win? What'd you win? Oh, I got this show.
Show me your weapons and tell me what they are. 45, sir. 45.
Mrs. Bassett, this is a 45. Yes, Director of Security. 45.
The pastor carries a 45 in a case that looks like a Bible. The principal is also armed with a 38.
Yeah, well, that's just backwards thinking, comma. Guns are not your salvation. Other choices are. But nobody wants to do that because they're all scared to death of not having a gun. This country is messed up.
School in New Mexico, many of the teachers carry guns, just in case. Show me your weapons and tell me what they are. 45, sir. Just in case. Show.
Oh yeah, this is a good story, comma. Now we know who carries the guns at that school. comma, that's just ignorant. Oh, the world is messed up. Messed up. Ay, ay, ay. Trying to find something to listen to.
Don't try this at home. This is a two-part explosive called Tannerite. The white powder here is mostly ammonium nitrate, and then this is aluminum powder. And when you mix them together and shoot them, it explodes. Okay, 2 pounds of Tannerite in the microwave. That's where we need to hit. So I wanted to see if I put it in my hydraulic press and generate a ton of pressure if it actually explodes. So do you need temperature and pressure or just pressure? Just a little bit of this powder here. Mix it together. So with the square area of this small head here, it's equivalent to around 50,000 psi. So 3, 2, 1. So it didn't explode. That means the shock wave of a bullet is much higher than this pressure and also generates higher temperature to start the explosion. Don't try this at home. This is a two-part explosive called Tannerite. The white powder here...
Oh, let's see.
As we speak, women all over Iran are protesting against the suppression of their rights under the regime of the Ayatollah. And here we are debating how much we should suppress.
Oh, look at that.
What an irony.
That didn't work, huh?
As we speak, women all over Iran are protesting against the suppression of their rights under the regime of the Ayatollah. And here we are debating how much we should suppress women's rights. What an irony. When we adopted the Bill of Rights, we didn't make a moral statement. Take the First Amendment. The fact that I believe in broad freedom of speech does not mean I approve of every form of speech. It's not a moral statement. It's a legal statement that recognizes a pluralistic society in which choices are complex, and it's not our role to judge and restrict. As we speak, women all over Iran are protesting against the suppression of their rights under the regime of the Ayatollah. And here we are debating how much we should suppress women's rights. What an irony. When we adopted the Bill of Rights, we didn't make a moral statement. Take the First Amendment. The fact that I believe in broad freedom of speech does not mean I approve of every form of speech. It's not a moral statement. It's a legal statement that recognizes a pluralistic society in which choices are complex, and it's not our role to judge and restrict. As we speak, women all over... Iran.
Yeah, the world's quite mad.
A friend of mine in Illinois actually knows a teacher that comes to school as a furry and wears ears and a tail and uses a litter box at the front of the classroom to relieve himself.
Insane, dude. Insane. How do you wrap your head around the nonsense coming out of these people 24/7? I'm not a furry, but being like an artistic YouTuber or whatever, I draw and screen and stuff. I've had a lot of furries come to my Discord and hang out and chat with me and stuff over the years, because furries tend to be really, really invested in art. So I've always had a pretty good relationship with the furry community for that reason, because I'm an artistic YouTuber. Furries are now the target of right-wing hate for some bizarre reason. Sad part is that there are probably a lot of right-wing furries out there.
A friend of mine in Illinois actually knows a teacher that comes to school as a furry and wears ears and a tail and uses a litter box at the front of the classroom to relieve himself.
Insane, dude. Insane! How do you...
That story is just bizarre, and it was proven completely wrong. Just mad lunatics spouting vomit out of their mouths. I'm so hungry. Got a big salad in the car. Not something I've done more than once, because it's tricky to eat salad in the car. There goes a bicycle. Oh. Furries. Teachers dressing as furries and peeing in front of their classroom. Yeah, that doesn't happen. That's never happened.
All right, well, today, since we still have some nice weather, I'm going to go ahead and finish out this cabinet here on the galley. So we have one more door to make, and I made a store run, got a piece of plywood. We're going to go ahead and cut that to size and get it laminated, edge banded, put the hinges on, and see if we can't get that installed. I am short one pull knob, so I have it on order, and it should be here tomorrow, and we'll get that on, and, well, that should complete the galley. So, the saw is set up, the wood's sitting out there, we just got to cut it. Let's do it.
Where? Oh, there it is. I wondered where that went. How did I do that before?
All right, so I have a scrap piece of laminate left over. We're going to go ahead and take this off of here.
Like that.
Lay out our plywood on there. Mark where we need to cut.
See if I can set this up again. I did it once. I need a better way to do this, no matter what. Let's see. Is that gonna work? Kinda. Not really. How did I do that the last time? It worked kind of good the last time. No, this stupid phone. Ugh. Stupid YouTube is what the problem is. No. Oh. That's not working. I had a way to do this once. Which device did I do it with? How did I do that? How did I accomplish that? That's one way to do it, maybe. We can have Toyota Theater here. Oh, except this is the problem. This is the problem. YouTube doesn't rotate.
Obviously disturbing for a variety of reasons, but I decided to really break this down and take a critical look at whether or not it's true. Are the Democrats really the equivalent of the Nazi Party? Let's take a look. When discussing speaking out, I often hear people say things like, well, you know, if I was alive back in the days of Nazi Germany, I believe I would have said something. I believe I would have made a phone call. I believe I would have turned them in. I would have stood up to it. I would have stood out. I would have... ... What would you have done? Before you answer, let me tell you the truth. Whatever you think you would have been doing then is exactly what you aren't doing right now. In reality, Greg Locke and his congregants are morally and politically aligned with Nazis in Nazi Germany, more morally and politically aligned with them than with the people on the other side of the fence in Germany at the time, like by far. Now there is a line that Hitler crossed eventually. Hitler was moving Jews into ghettos and mistreating them and ostracizing them from the rest of society for a long time leading up to what happened. He found reasons for society to hate the Jewish people, and there came a time when the Jewish people were really sick of what was happening, being mistreated and everything, and one person assassinated a German dignitary or ambassador of some sort from another country. I forget where exactly or who it was, but Hitler used that attack, that assassination, as a pretext to start what he called the Jew hunt. He started saying, anybody that you find outside of these areas, you need to take them out. And eventually it turned into find them and take them out. Find them and kill them. That is plain and simple. That was when the violence really, how much these people hate Jews or whoever else, hate black people in the case of America, or gay people, or whoever it happens to be. No matter how much they hate them, humans are not supposed to kill other humans. It deeply affects our psychology negatively. And even people that really had a problem with the Jewish community and believed that they were part of this big cabal that was running the big banks and all that stuff, which is the pretext that Hitler used to make people hate the Jews. Blame them for all of their problems, right? No matter how much you hate them, you're not supposed to kill another human. It's against our psychology. It's against who we are as human beings. And it was giving people PTSD who were doing this. Despite the fact that they agreed with what they were doing, their brains could not handle what they were doing. So Hitler came up with this plan to basically pull people out and stop them from doing what they called the Jew hunt and have them just arrest Jewish people from then on. Instead of doing the hard work themselves, they had them arrest the people and send them to a central area where they were taking them out en masse. That's when the Holocaust started in full. Now we can look at timelines of events along the way, right? Like 1930s, early 30s, Hitler came to power, and all through that time he was demonizing the Jewish people, blaming them for all of the problems, shuttling them to the ghettos, and ordering them not to leave, and attacking them, and, you know, all of it. Hitler was saying the exact same things about the Jews that Donald Trump and Greg Locke and all of these other far-right extremist pastors and figures say about immigrants, about the black community, about the gay community. Let me just give you one simple, straightforward example. This is Tommy Mcmurtry. He's a member of the NIFB, the New Independent Fundamentalist Baptist Church, started by Steven Anderson, Pastor Steven Anderson. I've talked about him a few times. This guy is a pastor of one of the NIFB churches. Greg Locke agrees with this position, and I have some videos to back that up, that Greg Locke agrees with this position. I can only play certain ones on YouTube. I can't play all of it because it's too on the nose and bad. But listen to what Tommy says here.
We know there have always been, we know they have always been around. We've read the book of Genesis, okay? Nobody's saying they're never around, but there was a time when society, when our country saw them for what they were, and they put them in their place 6 feet under. And unfortunately, we have forgotten that in our country.
I sit here every day of my life, listening to Greg Locke and Tommy Mcmurtry, Steven Anderson, Kent Hovind, Kenneth Copeland, Donald Trump, all of these other political and religious figures saying things like that every single day. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, Greg Locke and his people, his congregants, his friends, his fellow pastors are on the exact same timeline, on the exact same side as Nazi Germany was in the 1930s.
So this is a guy I follow a lot lately. His name's Morgan, and his channel is about cults and dangerous religious extremism and fanaticism. And there's more than you can even look at in today's world in America. It's full of insane, vile, vicious, disturbed people who are sure that they are right and everything that they're talking about is wrong. I don't have one. I am against religion. Hey, Jameson. I am against religion. Organized religions have done nothing but mostly cause lots of grief on this planet. From protecting pedophiles to missionaries doing good work. You know, we'll feed you or give you medical help, but you gotta come over to our church. They can't just go do the help. You know, some groups may do that, but most of them have ulterior motives. And if you read about missionaries in the 1800s, early 1900s, they did nothing but sow evil across the planet and disease. So I guess a little. I don't know if there's a God, Religions are man-made. So is God man-made? Basically. I mean, I don't care about any of this crap, I don't need to be saved. I know what's right and wrong, what's moral and ethical, But, some people, they need it, Then you have people like down here in Akron, Ohio. We had two really big evangelist preachers who travel. Ernest Angley and Rex Humbard. They're famous. You know where they go chasing people? Africa. They don't save people here so much. They go to Africa and use that as an example of their work. It's madness. Sammy, how's the dinner? Hey, Hurley. It's not bad. It's my normal big salad with oranges. They didn't have strawberries tonight. And chicken, onions, feta cheese, arugula, good stuff, balsamic dressing. So Morgan here, the guy we're watching, sheds, light on these evil people that think that they are the almighty preacher of their world. There's a whole group of people out here actually worshiping Trump as they calling him now there's a guy who wrote a book. Trump is the Son of Man, the Christ. What kind of moronic, bizarre, twisted thinking is that? It's insane, man. He did a real good take on that. So this is a look at the title. I wish I had a third phone. What is the title? Damn it. Let me touch it up there. Pastors. Democrats are evil. We have to do something about them. These are, Christian pastors.
The problems, shuttling them to the ghettos and ordering them not to leave and attacking them and, all of it. Hitler was saying the exact same things about the Jews that Donald Trump and Greg Locke and all of these other far-right extremist pastors and figures say about immigrants, about the black community, about the gay community. Let me just give you one simple, straightforward example. This is Tommy Mcmurtry. He's a member of the NIFB, the New Independent Fundamentalist Baptist Church, started by Stephen Anderson, Pastor Stephen Anderson. I've talked about him a few times. This guy is a pastor of one of the NIFB churches. Greg Locke agrees with this position, and I have some videos to back that up, that Greg Locke agrees with this position. I can only play certain ones on YouTube. I can't play all of it because it's too on the nose and bad. But listen to what Tommy says here.
We know they have always been around. We've read the book of Genesis, okay? Nobody's saying they're never around, but there was a time when society, when our country saw them for what they were and they put them in their place 6 feet under. And unfortunately, we have forgotten that in our country.
I sit here every day of my life, listening to Greg Locke.
May beef roast. Still weak. Well, keep fighting the fight, Hurley. Oh, the hypocrisy of religions is insane. Look at the Bible. It was written in like the 1600s, yet these people are worshiping this book cobbled together by endless dudes somewhere, and you know, that's insanity that they're worshiping these words that some guys, wrote down. It's like, what?
And Tommy McMurtry, Steven Anderson, Kent Hovind, Kenneth Copeland, Donald Trump, all of these other political and religious figures saying things like that every single day. I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt, Greg Locke and his people, his congregants, his friends, his fellow pastors, are on the exact same timeline, on the exact same side as Nazi Germany was in the 1930s. Have we reached the Jew hunt phase? No. No, we haven't reached that stage yet. But we are moving along that timeline right now. Now, I don't care if you don't like that comparison, if you feel like it's unfair, whatever else. I don't care. That's what it is. You have no idea how many books I have read about denazification and the timeline of events and how people arrived at these conclusions that they did psychologically and the psychological damage that it did to everybody involved. You have no idea how many books I've read about this. I'm saying, without a shadow of a doubt, Greg Locke would be on the side of the Nazis in 1930s Germany. So let's continue reading the book here where Greg Locke is telling us that he would have been on the other side of the battle. Whatever you think you would have been doing then is exactly what you aren't doing right now. Or we can put it this way, if you aren't doing it now, you wouldn't have done it then. It's easy to talk about what we would have done a long time ago in a situation we'll never have to face. We are facing it right now. We are actually facing it right now. The LGBT community and many other minority groups are being treated the same way the Jews were being treated in 1930s Germany, early 30s Germany. Early to mid-30s. I'd say we're in 1935 on the timeline right now. Matter of fact, you know what? Just to really drive this point home, let me see if I can find something specific here. We can't watch this whole thing, but let me just show you this video from, when is this from? 1947 to, yeah, this is a series of educational films from 1942 to 1947. And it was an attempt to prevent Americans from falling for what the Germans fell for in Nazi Germany.
Sorry, read comments here. Billy Graham Swagger. Spotlight's got plenty of juice yet. I ain't worried about it. All these groups, they just hate all these other people that aren't them. It's the same thing the Republicans and the right is doing right now, because they're becoming freaks with all of the evangelicals in the right, and they want no, they would smite everybody that isn't white, straight, and blonde. Okay, they would actually do that. These people are evil, disturbed, uninformed, ignorant cucks. C-U-C-K-S. That's a word I use sometimes. A lot. Because I can say it. I can print it. These groups, they all kick down on all kinds of other people. They're, if it isn't their way, it's the fucking it's a bullet in the head, basically. These are evil, messed up groups, and you have to get in their face immediately about people. You have to get in their face when anybody says crap like this.
It's intended to prevent Americans from going down the Nazi Germany route. Watch this.
They can live together and work together and build America together because they're free. Free to vote, to say what they please. Go to...
Matter of fact, you know what? Just to really drive this point home, let me see if I can find something specific here. We can't watch this whole thing, but let me just show you this video from, when is this from? 1947 to, yeah, this is a series of educational films from 1942 to 1947. And it was an attempt to prevent Americans from falling for what the Germans fell for in Nazi Germany. It's intended to prevent Americans from going down the Nazi Germany route. Watch this.
They can live together and work together and build America together because they're free. Free to vote, to say what they please, go to their own churches, to pick their own jobs. Yeah, Mike's got something, all right. He's got America. But there are guys who stay up nights figuring out how to take that away from him.
I want to give you the truth, folks. The truth about America. I know you get a lot of questions. You want to know why you're not getting the breaks you deserve? Well, I'm not a politician, but I've made it my business to study these things, and I happen to know the facts. Now, friends, I'm just an average American. But I'm an American. And some of the things I see in this country of ours make my blood boil. I see people with foreign accents making all the money. I see Negroes holding jobs that belong to me and you. Now I ask you, if we allow this thing to go on, what's going to become of us real Americans?
Notice how they're segregating people into real Americans and fake Americans, people who deserve a good life and people who don't. This is the exact thing that happened in Nazi Germany, and that is the exact reason why this film was made, to point out that distinction.
So, I've seen that film many times, and you should go find that film and that whole series. Because, if you look at majority of media through the 1900s, when we had media, visual media, you didn't see, people of color in power or in control of anything. It was always white people. And, we're not even close to even on that nowadays, but there are plenty of good choices for you to watch. Role models, examples, whatnot. But, there's a whole bunch of people out there that live in, especially I think rural places in America, that would just take most of the people that are of a different color or a different language, take them out into the field and drive a tractor over them and turn the earth over. This country's messed up, and we got to deal with it. No, I go and do other things. You only see me in the car when I go live.
To make people realize what's happening is wrong and leads to something truly, deeply devastating to society. That's why they're making that comparison. That's why they're pointing it out in the first place.
I've heard this kind of talk before, but I never expected to hear it in America.
It says, I've heard this kind of talk before, never expected to hear it here in America.
This fellow seems to know what he's talking about.
Yes, he knows all right.
Take it away from him. What's the answer? What are we real Americans going to do about it? You'll find it right here in this little pamphlet. The truth about Negroes and foreigners. The truth about the Catholic Church. Now, friends, these books are free. Paid for by real Americans who want others to know the truth.
Excuse me, young man, but are you actually going to read that stuff? Sure, why not? You heard what he said. Yes, I heard. But do you believe in that kind of talk? I don't know, makes pretty good sense to me.
I'm speaking to you as an American. And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without Catholics. Without Freemasons.
Such a fucking hypocrite when he says that. Without, how does he say, what does he say?
You're actually going to read that stuff? Sure, why not? You heard what he said. Yes, I heard. But do you believe in that kind of talk? I don't know, makes pretty good sense to me.
I'm speaking to you as an American. And I tell you, friends, we'll never be able to call this country our own until it's a country without. Without what? Yeah, without what? Without Negroes. Without alien foreigners. Without...
Alien foreigners. Where the fuck do you think you all came from, you dumbass, ignorant motherfucker? Oh my God, I want to scream when I hear shit like that. Fuck. But this is a brilliant piece. You need to go find this whole little video series and watch it.
Catholics. Without Freemasons.
Catholics.
You know these things.
What's wrong with the Masons? I'm a Mason. Hey, that fella's talking about me. And that makes a difference, doesn't it?
These are your enemies. These are the people who are trying to take over our country. Now you know them. You know what they stand for. And it's up to you and me to fight them. Fight them and destroy them before they destroy us.
You remember the speech Donald Trump gave at the very beginning of his campaign 2016? They're not sending their best. What was it he said? They're bringing crime, they're so on and so forth. Does that sound familiar?
Thank you.
Before he said Masons, you were ready to agree with him. Well, yes, but he was talking about, what about those other people? But in this country, we have no other people. We are American people, all of us. What about you? You aren't American, right? I was born in Hungary, but now I am an American citizen. And I have seen what this kind of talk can do. I saw it in Berlin. What were you doing there? I was a professor at the university. I heard the same words we have heard today. But I was a fool then. I thought Nazis were crazy people, stupid fanatics. But unfortunately, it was not so.
Well, they were crazy people. They were stupid fanatics. That is so. It's just they captured the psyche of everybody around them. They sucked them into an ideology and made that ideology appealing to others by demonizing their enemies, by demonizing the people that they...
That's like, hey, Linda, you know, that's like, you know, where did I lost my thought. You know, yeah. Where did all these guys come from standing there? People are so ignorant, they don't think, you know, but then they become brainwashed because they want to be on the side that's right, you know, that's, of course, they're, you know, I'm Polish and Irish, you know. Nobody is American except the native Indians that were here when we came and stole everything, you know. Now, that's not our fault. That's history, basically. But, you know, this country is not You know, almost most countries on this planet are a melting pot. There's a lot, you know, but there's a lot that do have their sort of indigenous tribes and groups that have been there for a very long time, but not America. You see these fucking Karens and these Kens yelling at people at fast food joints. Speak English! You better speak English here. Enough with that fucking shit. You go home. You know, and they say that to a 16-year-old girl working at a McDonald's or something who's making their food. You take those people out to the woodshed and make them bleed. I mean, it's madness. How do you get like that, man? How do you get like that? Where you hate? Just insane.
Is this sounding familiar?
They knew that they were not strong enough to conquer a unified country. So they split Germany into small groups. They used prejudice as a practical weapon to cripple the nation. Of course, that was not easy to do. They had to work hard to do it. You see, we human beings are not born with prejudices. Always they are made for us. Made by someone who wants something. Remember that when you hear this kind of talk.
We aren't born with prejudices. They're made by somebody who wants something. That's interesting, right?
Yeah. Go look at a playground where random kids from different races or religions or whatever, countries, play. Do they hate each other? Do they have issues with each other? No. They want to hug each other and hold each other's hands and run around and you know, you just go watch kids play. They don't have any hate. Hate is put into them by their parents and their peers. You know, it does not, you know, it comes from fear of others, from ignorance, you know.
Born with a tendency to favor the tribe that we're from, but bigotry and hatred and prejudice comes from people who want to teach it.
Somebody's going to get something out of it, and it isn't going to be you. This is not classroom theory. I saw it happen. I saw it first in Berlin in 1932.
1932 was the start of the whole ugly mess. By 1935, I believe they'd already shuttled Jews into ghettos and demonized them terribly. And there was a plague, I think, typhoid? Maybe it was typhoid that was being passed around the ghettos in Germany at the time. And they used that as a pretext to basically ban Jews from exiting the ghettos at all. And if they did exit the ghettos, the areas that they had cordoned off, then they would be killed.
5 young men that I knew were standing in the crowd listening to the Nazi speaker. Eric was a Catholic. Anton, a student of mine, was a Jew. Heinrich owned a small hardware store. Karl was a farmer. And Hans was an unemployed metal worker.
To all true Aryan Germans, I say it is time you inherited the nation which rightfully belongs to you. To you alone belongs the glorious destiny of the greater Germany. The Nazi Party will provide land for the farmer, work for the worker, and profits for the small businessman.
The Nazi Party was tiny. It was a tiny little itty-bitty party that nobody paid attention to, like the America First Party or whatever. It was just a little thing that nobody listened to, and they thought they were nutbags. And they were nutbags. But they won political power, one victory after another, until they got to a point where they had a platform big enough that they could broadcast their message far and wide to a disproportionate number of people, and suddenly everybody is listening. Everybody knows about the message. And the message is, these people are your enemies. These people are the reason why you're suffering. These people are the reason why you don't have everything that you ever wanted, a mansion and a nice car and all that other stuff. That was their message. Divide and conquer. And it worked in Nazi Germany. It worked. They succeeded.
Who is getting these things now? The Jew. The Jew who has stolen our nation and our birthright. Who makes all the money and takes all our jobs? The Jew! He must be shunned. He must be ostracized. He must be eliminated. And the Catholics. We don't want our great nation run by a foreign church. We Germans will know what to do with these people when the time comes. They and their faith must be destroyed. Then there are the Freemasons. In Germany, we have no place for secret societies. There may be only one society, and that is the Nazi Party. There may be no secrecy about that in the new Greater Germany.
One by one, he attacked each minority and he split them off one from the other. These men were all fellow Germans when they came here today. Now they were split into rival groups, suspicious of each other, hating each other. They were being swindled, all of them. But the man who was really being fooled was Hans. He was pure German, according to Nazi standards. To him they promised everything, and he fell for it.
You who are true Aryan Germans will share the glorious destiny of our fatherland. You are the pure-blooded, the master race. It is your divine right to rule, and the Nazi Party stands ready to put you into power. It is for you to command all Germany, and someday the entire world.
You see how it can be appealing to be told that you are the best of the best, and you deserve this thing or that. You deserve to be rich. And the fact that you're not is the fault of this group over here. And if we just deal with this group, if we just stop this from happening, you will be rich. We will make sure of it. You see how that can be appealing? I mean, naturally, it's probably not appealing to the type of people who watch my channel because you recognize it for what it is, a grift. But to any other person out there who is unaware of history or unaware of how this works, you can see why this would rope people in and be interesting to them, right?
That's how Hans became a Superman. They gave him a uniform and they pumped up his ego. He wasn't just a little fellow out of work anymore. He was a member of the master race. His wife couldn't quite understand. Even though he was a Superman, there wasn't any food in the house. Stupid woman. Didn't she realize that the Nazis were going to make jobs for everybody? There would be plenty of food and clothing and the new house. Everything they wanted. The glorious future of Germany was to be theirs. And their children would someday rule the world. But his wife, silly woman, still wondered where the next meal was coming from. Hans didn't like that kind of talk. It was dangerous. For that kind of talk, people should be put in jail. Hans had swallowed the bait all right. And these were the men who baited the hook. Why?
Is Joseph Goebbels in the background, I believe. That was Hitler's propaganda minister, and he came up with a bunch of propaganda techniques, like the big lie, for example, stuff like.
That's pretty cool, Hurley. He's talking about Goebbels. Yeah, we have a current day Goebbels. You know who his name is, right? He works for Trump. He's a Jew hater now. And I think he's Jewish. fucking madness. Stephen Miller is a evil, evil human being. And he's still feeding shit to Trump. Getting paid by him. You know, there is no Republican or person on the right that should have any standing in anything right now, because they are all on that side. If they don't denounce any of these people that are saying the things that they're saying or doing, that means they agree with it. And that's where you have to get in their face. I do it every day when I see a friend say something on social media, or even not a friend. I get in their face and I challenge them. So you support this? Because all of them do. Does that mean you're doing that? And it has to fucking, you have to get under their damn skin with thinking. You gotta hit them hard with challenges of, oh, Trump just called Mitch McConnell's wife a pretty fucked up racist term. Is anybody standing up for McConnell or his wife who worked for Trump? No one. Because they're all fucking assholes, scared to fucking stand up and lose everything they have, instead of maybe gain something like respect, like Liz Cheney. She's the only Republican in this fucking country who has any balls. I don't know anybody else who's still a Republican. It's fucking madness. And you have to get in everybody's fucking face about this that's on the right. Because they don't deserve anything right now. Not with all this evil being spread by all these people out there.
So that Hans could come to power? Of course not. So they could come to power. They would merely use Hans to help them get there. He would do the dirty work for them.
After Hitler died, or after he killed himself, Joseph Goebbels, I believe, was Chancellor of Germany for a single day, and then he killed himself the exact same way Hitler did.
Hans and thousands of others like him, all playing a sucker's game. They gambled with other people's liberty, and of course they lost their own. A nation of suckers. Hitler needed these people. There was lots of work to be done. There were trade unions to be smashed, because unions were organized and might offer resistance. There were many political parties in Germany. These the Nazis destroyed. They were determined to smash every organization where people might band together and resist them. There were Jews to be beaten and killed. The Jews were not powerful, but they were a convenient excuse for all the nation's ills. And besides, a Nazi party member could not take over this man's store.
And how did they manage to blame Jews when the Jews were obviously not in any sort of political power position in the country? They claimed that international Jews ran international banks and stuff like that. They owned a whole bunch of stuff. Yet these Jews are lowly and live in the ghettos and have no political power. But their cousins and their uncles and their aunts and stuff, who they listen to, they control all the big banks, and they are the heart of all of the problems of the country. That's how they framed it, and that's how they managed to blame this one minority group, despite the fact that they had absolutely no political power of any sort, and were very obviously being persecuted terribly. They were the cabal from that time. Yeah, they were. They were absolutely the cabal, the deep state. They were the Illuminati at the time, the Jews were. And honestly still are, but I think the Illuminati, the cabal, or the deep state has focused less on Jewish ancestry and more on, I mean, in America at least, and more on like Democrats and the LGBT community and stuff. Now it's focused more on the political entities that the modern day Republican Party hates, which does include Jews. It's just they focus on Jews less now than they did back then, obviously. People have been doing this for a long time. This is a method that's existed since the dawn of time. Not only has this method existed since the dawn of time, but we can watch it play out in real time today, right now, among Greg Locke and his fans, his congregants, his friends, his fellow pastors. He uses this exact strategy that we just watched on this 1942 video.
I'm to the place right now, if you vote Democrat, I don't even want you around this church. You can get out. You can get out, you demon. You can get out, you baby butchering election thief.
Notice he's accusing the Democrats of various different things, being demons, being election thieves.
You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. I don't care how mad that makes you. You get pissed off as you want to. You cannot be a Christian and vote Democrat in this nation. They are God-denying demons that butcher babies and hate this nation.
Or how about this one right here? This is another one he put out not too long ago. This one is from mid-April 2022.
We have to stop compromising to the propaganda. So I say this and we volley back. One of the things we did to push back against the nonsense is not only put up the sign, but we told our folks, we so believe.
Put up the sign, no masks allowed on this church campus.
So believe in our First Amendment right to gather under this tent and to worship Jesus Christ. That if you show up with your propaganda machine and you try to impede on our First Amendment right, I said our boys will meet you at the door of this tent with our Second Amendment right, because we're not playing your Democrat games. This is a church, and we're going to stand.
So, the point is, Greg Locke is on the side that the Nazis were on. The parallels are honestly disturbing. What's even more disturbing is the fact that these people don't seem to recognize that they're the embodiment of the thing they despise. That's why we have to talk about it. That's why we have to point it out at every opportunity. Do not let them get away with this. Anyways, that's all I've got for you. If you like what I do and you want to see me continue to do it, you can support me in a few ways. First, there's Patreon. That's probably the best way. But if you want to get something back for your support, you can check me out on Teespring. I sell all kinds of shirts and stickers and stuff on there. Or you can check out my other YouTube channels. As I said earlier, this video is an excerpt from my Telltale Reads YouTube channel, where I'm going through Greg Locke's book. Each episode stands independently of the rest. If there's missing context from the previous chapters, I explain it. I also have my Fireside Chat channel, where I talk about the intersection between religion and politics. And I have my Unfiltered channel, where I do long-form breakdowns of sermons from Greg Locke, Trump rallies, Jehovah's Witness conventions, and other stuff like that. So give it a watch if it sounds interesting. All links are in the description, as always. Okay? Thanks for watching, guys.
Telltale.
Good evening from New York. I'm Chris Hayes. Weeks after the FBI executed that now infamous...
You know, it's madness out there. Just like they found out in documents that were testimony that was released today from the January 6th committee, the president of the Oath Keepers said, apparently a couple days after January 6th, the only thing we did wrong, we didn't bring our guns. You know, these people are broken, messed up human beings. And I had to walk away from a friend who said the exact same thing about January 6th. He goes, probably with a meaner face than I'm going to do. More should have died. Many, many more. Well, maybe I was meaner. I almost punched him. I got up from our dinner table at the restaurant, took my food, and went elsewhere. I won't have anything to do with anybody that says shit like that. You know, it's messed up thinking. Messed up thinking. And I might talk to him again if he approached me. But I don't know if I would be a friend still after that, because I'd have to hear what he says. I've seen him. I've seen him at a music thing I go to regularly. And he tried to approach me one night. I was sitting at a table already with other people. And I didn't, I didn't look at him. I didn't acknowledge him. That doesn't mean he couldn't have come over, right? If he really wanted to heal this thing, he could do it. It's not in my corner to do. That's the first person I've ever walked away from in my life. First person ever. And it hurt. We were very good friends. And I knew he was right-leaning. But when he starts saying things that night, oh, there's been major electoral fraud in this country for decades, at least 20 years. Where is that? Can you show me some university paper, some think tank, some news agency that can show me that? No, you can't. Then he goes, oh, this is the wackadoodle thing. He said 3 things. This is the wackadoodle one. He goes, that's why Kennedy was killed. Kennedy was killed because he was elected illegally. That's fucking madness, too. You might have been able to buy some votes in say, New York City back in the day or Chicago, but he had plenty of fair votes. It's madness. And then he said the thing about killing more people. I said, fuck off. And I left because I was beet red. I was livid. Livid. Those are not patriots. My father would be screaming from the highest fucking hilltops. He couldn't believe this madness. Trump rallies where they allow them to sell, and they don't stop it. That's the thing. They don't stop it. They don't say, we don't want this here. Selling Nazi and Confederate flags out in front of their rallies. Allowing these fucking goose-stepping, punk-ass oath keepers to march up and down, or the Proud Boys with their Nazi flags in their brown shirt uniforms. Oh, they got brown pants this time. How are these people fucking endorsing shit like that? This is madness. It's a very dangerous fucking madness. Here, you want to see a fucking video talking about the madness infecting this country right now? Here, watch this. Let's find this. It's not as long as that last one. Oh, hey, Drew. Didn't know you were here. I don't know who's here tonight. Not a lot of people have been commenting. Evening. Watch this. This. Where we at? How do we get on here? We need a thumb. I need a thumb. Wrong thumb? Right thumb. I don't know. It opened. All right. Let's see here. If I can do this without finding... Oh, wrong way. Yeah, I do want to do that. Nope, I want to go down here. History. Library. History. I can do this sideways. I just watched this. Here it. Okay, that's Strozik. That's a good one. Where is it? You've got to, you've got to do something to get, into their brain. You've got to have either serious discussions, like I said. You've got to point out these facts that, how are you for this or that? The really far out crazy shit. Because by being on the right, you are supporting this. You're condoning it. So you have to attack them with stuff that should bother them, Where is... Oh, come on. I just watched this. Okay. Oh, that's a good one to watch. Freaking Don Jr. fucking babbling crazy shit while he's probably coked up. Where is it? Come on here. Can I do this sideways? It's just a pain in the ass to put the phone back up here. I guess I'll have to take it down. That's the trouble. And it's like, how can you not care about, you know, truth and facts and where did your family come from? Why are you against this shit, but not against Nazism or fascism? Where did your father fight in World War II? Probably. What would your father say about that? You know, oh, come on, I just watched this. I watch too many videos, so it gets hard to find stuff sometimes. Shouldn't have been that far back. Where is it? This is a really good analysis of the madness going on. Is this the one? No. Maybe this is the one?
Ahead of the next public hearing, the House Select Committee investigating January 6th, originally planned for last week and since postponed because of the storm that was coming. Congressman Jamie Raskin wrote a powerful op-ed in the New York Times about the violent rhetoric of the modern Trumpian Republican Party, the actual violence of January 6th, and the dangerous insurrectionist theory of the Second Amendment that they are using to justify it. Let me read you a little bit from it. Quote, many Republicans in Congress agree the Second Amendment is about maintaining within the citizenry the ability to maintain an armed rebellion against the government if that becomes necessary. The romantic but entirely fraudulent insurrectionary theory of our Constitution allows Mr. Trump's followers to suggest that the mass destructive violence of January 6th was something other than criminal, end quote. January 6th investigation in Congress is still ongoing. They're looking into that role and Donald Trump and those close to him that played on that fateful day. And the committee's likely to hold another public hearing sometime in the next few weeks. Joining me is that Congressman Jamie Raskin, Democrat of Maryland. He's a member of the House Select Committee on January 6th. He also led, he was the lead House manager in the second impeachment of Donald Trump. Congressman, it is always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for being with us. You know, other than your role.
So, anytime you can watch Jamie Raskin talk, you're listening to a brilliant, sensible human being, let alone if he's a Democrat or not. The guy is a brilliant orator and thinker, and he knows the Constitution and the law.
In the impeachment and the January 6th hearing, you are someone we have turned to for years because of your understanding of the Constitution. And I would like to explore this a little bit because there are candidates running now and members of Congress who talk about January 6th in terms of the Second Amendment, in terms of the right to take up arms against your own government. Can you explain this to those of us who are not constitutional scholars?
Really, Linda?
Writing about in this op-ed as it relates to the Second Amendment.
Well, pretty much on a daily, certainly a weekly basis, a Republican member of Congress will get up on the floor or in committee and say that the Second Amendment gives the people the right to overthrow the government, to engage in armed rebellion. And it's just nonsense. There's nothing to support that. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 15 of the Constitution says the Congress has the power to call forth the militias from the states to suppress insurrections. And the Republican Guarantee Clause says that Congress must guarantee to the people of the states a Republican form of government and has the power to put down domestic violence. And, you know, even Section 3 of the 14th Amendment says anyone who has sworn an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution against enemies, foreign and domestic, who violates it by engaging in insurrection or rebellion may never hold office again. So the whole edifice of the Constitution is designed to stop insurrection, and yet we have Republicans who to this day are claiming that there's some kind of constitutional right to engage in it. And it's ridiculous. The only thing that they cite is the Declaration of Independence, which says, of course, that, you know, when in the course of human events, people are being oppressed by tyrants, they can overthrow the government. This is true, but that's a natural law right. That's not a right contained in the Constitution of the United States or Britain. No constitution gives the people the right to destroy the Constitution and the government.
Nor does the First Amendment give people the right to overthrow the government. So there are a number of people who claim that what we're looking at here on the screen was the exercise of the First Amendment, of the right to peaceably assemble. I have peaceably in quotes because it's actually in the Constitution. But actually, you don't have the right to not peaceably assemble with the aim of overthrowing the government under the First Amendment or any other amendment in the United States Constitution.
That's right. The First Amendment is all about the freedom of speech, the freedom of association, and the right to peaceably assemble. But there's no right in the Constitution to violently attack the government. Look, there's not even a right to engage in nonviolent civil disobedience, as my late colleague John Lewis or Dr. King or Bob Moses found out from many jail cells over the period of the civil rights movement. If you violate the law, the civil rights movement understood you would go to jail, and that was something they were willing to go through in order to move the country and to redeem the Constitution. But now we've got violent insurrectionists who have forgotten the whole message of the Civil War, which is you do not have a right to take up arms against the U.S. government. And that's the importance of all these cases. We've had more than 900 prosecutions against the January 6th insurrectionists. There's not a single one where a federal or a state court, for that matter, has dismissed the charges on the grounds that the people were lawfully engaged in Second Amendment insurrection.
I want to ask you about Ginny Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas. She made a statement to the January 6th committee that has been obtained by the Federalist, in which she said, "I can guarantee that my husband has never spoken with me about pending cases at the court. It is an ironclad rule in our home. I generally do not discuss with him my day-to-day work in politics, the topics I am working on, who I am calling, emailing, texting, or meeting." However, she told your committee that she still believes the 2020 election was stolen. All of this becomes a little hard to reconcile, which is why I put it to you. How do you reconcile this?
Well, far be it for me to question the household rules in the Thomas family, but what was remarkable, which the chair of our committee, Benny Thompson, has confirmed, is that she is saying that she still believes that Donald Trump won the election and that Joe Biden's victory is based on fraud. That's a remarkable thing for anybody to say, much less someone who's married to a Supreme Court justice who theoretically bases their whole work on the rule of law. We have more than 60 federal and state courts that have rejected every single claim of electoral fraud and corruption in the country. And these people have nothing to cite against it other than a feeling they have from Fox News or some other media outlet that there was fraud. But the courts have looked at it. This is how we deal with claims of electoral fraud or corruption in the United States of America. And all of the courts have rejected it. And yet we still have people like Ginny Thomas and others who are out there swallowing the big lie and continuing to propound it. That's just a dangerous thing for a democracy. One of the hallmarks of an authoritarian or fascist political party is a refusal to accept the results of democratic elections.
And doesn't a lot of this discussion, if you watched the previous video with me that we watched about Hitler and the evangelical Christian preachers in today's society, this is the same crap that these people are believing, man. I know, Hurley. This stuff is brutal.
An embrace of political violence, a refusal to renounce political violence. So the whole country should be alarmed about where the GOP is today.
Your next hearing, might be the final hearing, you've described it as maybe the last investigative public hearing where we're going to try to round out the factual narrative. Can you put any meat on those bones for us?
Well, I think that the public understands the essential elements of the story. Donald Trump refused to accept the results of the people's vote in the election and the Electoral College, and then set about through numerous different methods of trying to overthrow it, culminating in the idea of forcing the vice president out of his constitutional role and getting him to declare unilateral powers just to vaporize Electoral College votes from Arizona, Georgia, and Pennsylvania. We are going to complete that story. We may have some updates on what happened with all of those missing Secret Service texts, but we may have more information from the Secret Service about what actually happened. We're basically going to give the public all of the material, essential information that we've got about what happened. But then the other thing, Ali, is we're going to talk about the continuing clear and present danger posed by the political forces unleashed by Donald Trump against us. The domestic violent extremist groups, the social media, which has been used as an instrument for promoting this kind of insurrectionism against the government of the United States.
Congressman, good to see you. Thank you for joining us this morning. We appreciate it. The Democratic Congressman Jamie Raskin of Maryland is a member of the House Select Committee on January 6th.
All right, now here's the other video I wanted you to see. This one.
We don't have a circuit breaker anymore. We don't have a thing that breaks the fever. I looked to see if Mitch McConnell had recanted on a statement he made to Jonathan Swan when he was asked recently this year who he would support for president in 2024. That answer right now is Donald Trump. If it's changed, I think the office knows where to reach me. But what does it do when the person who targets politicians can still count on the support of said politicians?
Well, Nicole, it does nothing but encourage it. Look, this is really, really concerning. After 9/11, the government spent untold man-hours, resources, went to war and fought radical, sort of terrorists, and looking at what caused radicalization, what caused violent radicalization. And there was the same sort of pattern that came out again and again. It was the ability of people to take sort of a unformed grievance and make it concrete, tell people how they'd been harmed, and then to translate that, say, these are the people that have done that harm to you. And then from that to progress to taking those people who had done the harm and seeking to dehumanize them, to belittle them, because that all lowered the cost to doing violence and attacking those folks. Now, if you look instead of at Al-Qaeda or AQAP or ISIS, and instead you look at Donald Trump and members of the Republican Party, the exact same thing is going on right now. And we're seeing the results in attacks on FBI field offices, on federal judges getting swatted and having anonymous calls to 911 made, drawing the police to their homes. We are on a path to violence. We are seeing the results of that violence. It is what we have seen for decades in an international terrorism context, and now we're seeing it here at home. And when you have Trump, when you have people like McConnell and Scott refusing to say anything, all that does is allow this pattern to continue, and I'm really worried about where we're headed.
And Pete Stark, just to understand the extremism models, where countering extremism has worked and where it hasn't, is there any example where the extremist is flattered and appeased and acquiesced, where the extremist threat of violence goes down?
No, I mean, the best that we found as a government to try and combat radicalization is to go out into the communities here in the United States and abroad, talk to community leaders, talk to faith leaders, talk to political leaders, and say, you need to de-escalate this rhetoric. You need to hold and say this behavior is unacceptable. You need to work with law enforcement that people, when they are radicalized or you see signs of radicalization, that you turn that over and you let law enforcement know. Now, compare and contrast that, which we in the FBI, DHS, and all across the U.S. government went across the United States asking communities to do. Compare that with the behavior you're seeing from Donald Trump. Compare that with behavior you're seeing out of Mitch McConnell, or Rick Scott, or Marjorie Taylor Greene, or whoever you want to pick in the right wing of the Republican Party. They are doing none of those things. If anything, they're encouraging it. And I don't think in that environment you're going to see anybody with much of an impetus to try and slow down or de-radicalize, given the heated environment that we're in.
The Wall Street Journal, which did more laundering and legitimizing of Donald Trump's presidency than perhaps any other outlet, they are as culpable as any news organization in this country for his presidency and his ongoing viability as a political figure. Charlie Sykes, they write this. This continues Trump's attacks on Elaine Chao, Mr. McConnell's wife, for being Chinese American. Her real offense was resigning as transportation secretary after Trump's disgraceful behavior on January 6th. His feud with McConnell is also personal, as the Kentucky senator condemned Trump's January 6th actions and hasn't spoken to him since. But the death wish rhetoric is ugly, even by Trump's standards, and deserves to be condemned. Trump's apologists claim he merely meant McConnell has a political death wish. But that's not what he wrote. It's all too easy to imagine some fanatic taking Trump seriously and literally and attempting to kill McConnell. Let me read that again. Wall Street Journal today warns its readers this. It's all too easy to imagine some fanatic taking Trump seriously and literally and attempting to kill McConnell. Many supporters took Trump's rhetoric about former Vice President Mike Pence all too seriously. So this is why this is our lead story, Charlie Sykes. The Wall Street Journal is today warning that, quote, some fanatic could take Trump seriously and literally. Now, they're 7 years too late to the parade, but I welcome them. This has been the threat all along, and I wonder what it is that makes McConnell, as of today, we've checked, still someone who would vote for Trump in 2024 should he be the nominee again.
Well, there's two things going on here. Number one, it is ugly rhetoric. It does need to be condemned and needs to be seen in the context of the increasing passion of people on the right for violence, including Donald Trump's embrace of QAnon, or the implicit threat that there would be chaos and insurrection if he's held legally accountable. But the second point is the one that you're addressing, is the complete lack of pushback from Republicans, including the unbearable lightness of Rick Scott, who has presented multiple opportunities to say no, racism and suggestions of death wishes is inappropriate. He wouldn't do it. And I think this is just a reminder that, you know, for a lot of Republicans, it's just they have become numbed by all of this, that they don't even try. They don't even go through the motions. And I think it's worth remembering, you know, how we got to this moment. You know, if you accept one big lie, you accept other big lies. If you're willing to swallow other racist rhetoric, you know, whether it's birtherism or, you know, the Mexican judge or S-hole countries or Muslim bans, then you know, I mean, they've swallowed it all. And so why would they stop now when there's an election to win? So Rick Scott says, you know, racism is never okay. Well, he obviously doesn't mean that, because he refuses to push back against it. He refuses to denounce it, and he will enthusiastically support Donald Trump's return to the presidency. So this is a moment that's incredibly dangerous. And I have to say that as appalling as Trump's rhetoric is, the failure of grown-up Republicans, or the alleged grown-up Republicans, to say anything about it, or to act as a circuit breaker, or to call for the de-escalation of the rhetoric, is even scarier, because it means there are no guardrails. There is nothing that is saying to Donald Trump, guy, could you just tone it down? People are being killed. People are dying. There is real violence out there. This is irresponsible. We're hearing none of that.
Exactly, Linda. And I'm going to share this video specifically at some people that this live stream tonight, because it's now become a very concise look at the messages from the right and how dangerous they have become. As I was watching, you know, I rewatching the first video I shared with Morgan, comparing Hitler to what's going on today, and then the two videos I just played from MSNBC. This spells out the exact path that's been happening. as it did back then. You know, debasing people, making them the others, you know, all these little tricks of propaganda manipulation, and you know, you see it all the time when you go look at these freaking ridiculous people at the Trump rallies who get interviewed. Do you think why didn't Obama do anything about 9/11? Well, I don't know, but we should look into it. These are real answers from people. And he wasn't a fucking president then. I mean, you know, it's fucking madness going on. These people don't think. They are clueless. Just go. There's endless interviews with these people at these rallies about different questions, and they're just imbecilic, moronic answers. I know people that are off on the right, but at least they're intelligent. They would know the right answers to a lot of those questions, but they're still fucked up, messed up on the right. But then there's so many of them like those in those little snippets of interviews done at these rallies. They don't know anything about what's going on. They're ignorant as hell, and they don't care. They don't care. It's dangerous madness. I don't think we could ever have a civil war, really. I don't think enough people would do anything. But the real danger is, like pointed out, the lone wolf, the freak that might go kill McConnell. We have plenty of that history in this country. You know, we already had this freak attack the FBI, try to get into the FBI office. You know, he's dead. Then you got this guy in Michigan who killed his wife and daughter because he's a QAnon believer and he went off the deep end. Yeah, and you know, you try to actually get them to listen to some other logical stuff, and they won't even do it. They won't even do it. You know, I watch their side a lot. It's crazy. I mean, just go watch all these pastors out there. There's endless amounts of these fuckers sharing psychobabble about all kinds of crazy shit. And it's all hate. Hate at groups of people. Kicking down on other human beings. You know, the LGBT crowd, the you know, pro-choice people, the Democrats, people of color, you know, pick your flavor. They've got one to kick down on. And you're getting it from all these Southern governor leaders. They're all punk-ass jerks. Fucking unbelievable. Unbelievable. I may send this video to my, to someone, you know. People have to fucking be slapped in the face with these issues. I don't know how else you get to them. You know, one-on-one conversations, I don't even know if they would work. You know, it takes effort, you know. So the only other way to deal with it right now is no Republican wins, period. They have to be smacked down because they're all complicit. My father was a fucking conservative Democrat politician. He would be insane. He met many presidents. He ran probably 100 different campaigns for federal, local, and state offices. He ran for federal office and state offices. He was a party nominee for one office for the state. You know, I mean, he would not believe this insanity. He fought against fucking Hitler in World War II. You know, and all this Nazi crap going around the country now. It's insane. You know, and then there's that woman who I know who says in a conversation the other day, online conversation, she goes, because she never talks about stuff. She just posts a smiley face or stupid shit, you know. She never engages. So I said, engage. So she did. She said a few things. And then she said the words, look at what they're doing to us. Pushing their diversity and racism down our throats. Oh, fucking hell. All the other people that were in that conversation were like, what the fuck did she just say? You know, I mean, they couldn't believe it. They were calling her out. They're going, what kind of friends do you have, Daniel? Ones with some pretty messed up belief systems. It's a sickness, man. It's a evil sickness, just like in Germany. It took over people because they wanted to be part of it. They felt they were the right ones, not everybody else. And then you watch that video in Morgan's, you know, that video from that film from 1947 talking about these issues. There were enlightened people back then. But so many times the foul idea gets traction over common sense and decency. I need a neck massage. I have to get on Heckle. I haven't been bad about broadcasting on Heckle. I need to start getting back on there a little. Anyway, I think I'm going to end this stream here because it's got a whole thing going on here, and I want to stop it here. So I can use it without having to try to edit it, cut it up, and find what I want to share. So thanks for watching, listening to my ranting. Oh, I like getting wound up. We should be more wound up. I'm sorry. I've got a friend, who saw something the other day. He calls and tells me he saw something the other day out of town. And it sounded very suspicious. I said, did you call anyone? Did you take your phone out and start filming it? No. Well, why didn't you call anybody? That's not an answer. Yet this person does complain about these kind of issues hitting our country. But does he do anything about it? Zero. Don't get involved. So, unless you take some video of it or make a phone call, did it happen? I don't know. He said it did. Is it true? I don't know. But, if you see something that looks pretty damn suspicious, Why don't you make... No. He saw a semi-trailer pull into a truck stop near Columbus, and 100, he said, Mexicans, you know, you don't know who they are, but you could say Hispanic. 100 men got out of the back of that trailer and scattered in that parking lot. I find that a little hard to believe, but could happen. Could be something, you know, I mean, human smuggling is a thing. Why didn't he make a phone call? Why, you know, I see shit like that. I can start my phone in seconds and start filming. You know, I make phone calls all the time about stuff. You guys hear me. Water leaks I find because, well, if it doesn't get found, it just keeps leaking. Was DeSantis driving the truck? Hey, Bob, I didn't know you were here. No, he's got a cell phone. You know, but he's just lazy, or I don't know what the fuck. I don't understand it. I yelled at him a bit. I'm like, what the fuck? You watch 100 people jump out of a truck and you do nothing? And you're the one complaining about this kind of stuff, you know? Yeah, DeSantis uses planes and spends taxpayer money on it and hires people that lie. They print flyers up and fucking lie to these legal immigrants in the country about where they're going and what they're gonna get provided with. Them motherfucking people all need to go to prison. All of them. That's evil. That's some evil bullshit. You know, Jesus, you know, the neighbor's house gets knocked on the other day, during the day. She was home. This guy's knocking on the side door probably to try to see if anybody answers. Or she came home maybe because her Ring camera went off. So anyway, she confronted the guy at the edge of my driveway. Took his picture. Says, what are you doing? Well, I wanted to see if you needed help fixing your railing. Well, you were the one who broke the railing. She's got that on camera too. So she shared his picture in a neighborhood group, you know. And this is what you have to do. And you need to make a police report about it. Because if the cops don't know that some guy is casing houses in a neighborhood, they don't know what's going on. Well, yeah, I mean, putting these people in hellish places with their pocketbooks has woken, and, you know, a lot of these January 6 people have said how it's ruined their lives. And some said, you know, there was these two guys who went to the event. You know, they were at the rally, and they went up to the Capitol, and they got arrested later, and they've lost their jobs, their wives, having to pay insane lawyers' fees. And it's like, well, why did you do that? Well, I don't know, because everybody else did. What the fuck, you know? I mean, and that's where, you know, the peer pressure, herd, you know, crowd thing can overtake a group of people, especially when they're together. You know, even at a coffee table at a fucking diner. You know, oh yeah, we should do that, Joe. Yeah, I'm in. You know, I mean, you know. Oh yeah, that's the one guy who's gotten some serious time. Oh yeah, she's pissed. You know, and yeah, Trump, you know, got under her father's brain with the QAnon and all this other crap, and you know, and the guy's gone off the deep end. You know, I mean, it's insane. So Anyway, I'm going to end this here so it's a concise kind of. This was a fun evening. I mean, I like to watch stuff like this and learn and analyze and discuss these topics. These are serious topics today, you know. And I know everybody has busy lives. Everybody can't get involved in everything, but we can talk about it with one friend, one person, you know. In the DC gulag. Oh yeah, they're being mistreated. Oh, what? Hey, Bob, I heard the truckers came back to DC. I saw something of, on YouTube. What? It's all crazy. I mean, it's just madness. I'm feeling better, I think. I mean, my throat still has got something going on, but, you know, I've never had a temperature in the last few days, and had a negative test today. Test again in 2 more days. Yeah, I don't know who's footing any bill for those people that drive around, burn up fuel, you know, eat food. Yep. Drove past them on 395. Did you give them a salute when you went by? I would. And thank you to somebody out there who sent me a very nice little donation today. You might be watching this, I don't know. I have to send you a thank you. I was surprised. So anyway, okay, we're out of here. Drive at 15 miles an hour, there you go. Better yet, you know, just stop your car, get out and open the hood and start scratching your head. You know, I don't know what's wrong. It's broke down. The cops won't hassle you. Oh, hi there. Oh, you are here. Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Judith. Oh, thank you. Oh. Hello. Good night. Oh, you just got here, Baba. Okay. I had an epic set of ranting tonight, Baba. And it's going to be a whole lesson. I'm going to rename the title, and I'm going to share this with the new title, and you'll see why. It's a message, and it starts with the first video that I shared, and then I played 2 MSNBC videos, and I ate salad. All right. Good night, everybody. Sleep tight. Peace.